What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
Rick, we've got a great episode to talk about this week, but there's one thing I want to talk about before we get into the episode, okay?
Yes.
What kind of phone do you have?
I have an Apple iPhone.
Okay, so do I. You know, when you get your Apple iPhone, it comes loaded with some apps already on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of those is the little podcast icon, which automatically fires you off to Apple Podcasts, and you get all of your podcasts, including ours, on
That's right, which
Apple.
everybody should have locked into already.
Yes, indeed. But I don't have an Android phone, and I recently found out that Android phones didn't come with such an app until just recently. And I guess Android finally decided to catch up with the party and created such an app, and now wants a bunch of podcasts on their own Android app. So I submitted Nothing Happens Until You Dream, and we were accepted, which was super cool. And last week, the Android universe discovered the podcast because our downloads shot up like crazy. So welcome, Android users.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Yeah,
that's great to hear.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
I had no idea that they had not gotten into the podcast universe, but I'm so glad they did. And now we're finding all kinds of new people out there. So if you have an Android phone or you have a friend who has one, tell them you got a podcast app now. Jump on it and search for Nothing Happens Until You Dream, and you'll be part of our universe. So I love that.
Well, that's great.
Well, I want everybody who wants to hear the podcast to have a chance to hear it on their own terms, on their own phone, on their own devices. So,
and even those who don't know they should be listening to it. There are so many people. I mean, I'm literally telling you, there are people that call me, email me, write me, even come up to me who are actually in my own world, a live world that I live in, and say that they listen to the podcast constantly. And they are, in so many words, blown away that it's hitting the mark regarding their lives.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled. I'm excited. And I told you right from the beginning, I'm not just a magician that does tricks. I want people to know that I'm serious about life beyond my magic and how that can affect everyone. And hopefully we're doing so.
Well, we are, because I get the same thing from my friends. Yeah. When we put the show together every week, we get done. And even I'm like, okay, I'm going to go tackle it now. So it's working. It's working on all levels, and I'm really proud to be a part of it.
The big part about it is simple. Don't stop.
Yeah.
Don't stop. You just said, before we were even online, you were saying that you needed to check out this week. You've been exhausted and you need to find your space. And then you said, you know what? I can't do that because when I come back to it, it's all going to be there.
Yes.
And basically, if you think that your life is so different or anybody's life is so different than mine, you are mistaken. And I think I want them to know that we all have the same challenges. We have the same dreams. We have the same nightmares. And when we try to put it all together, we need to know that there are other people out there struggling and that life isn't bliss as many people want to portray it in their social media.
Oh, well, social media always seems to either have the total downlights of life. You know, when somebody's absolutely, rock bottom and getting on there and singing the blues, or it has the super highlights. It doesn't have the day-to-day normal life.
Except for those that take photos of their food.
I knew that's where you were going. Have you ever? Okay. Truth be
No,
told,
I don't do that.
you've never done that.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
No. But I know somebody who is religious at doing so.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely. She'll love to know that I've said something. Her name is Kim Schultz.
Okay, Kim.
And she takes photos of every one of her meals. She's got this thing for it. I haven't figured it out yet, but it is quite entertaining to watch.
Kim, I want to know what's so special about your food. Email us and let us know. I will admit, I have actually done it twice. I've done it twice, but this is when I've gone to like awards dinners or something, and it's just so beautifully presented. It's almost like a work of art. So I figured,
understood.
Right? I've got to save it for posterity. And so I have done it twice, but I'm certainly not going to take a picture of my In-N-Out. Not going to happen.
Well, now I get to jump slightly into what we're discussing today and tell you that I've had my first, believe it or not, negative comment about the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What?
Is everybody listening? Is everybody scooting in a little closer?
Oh my goodness! How did this happen?
It was my son Brandon.
Really?
Yes, he called me and said, "Dad, I need to straighten you out."
Oh my!
I said, "Okay, bring it on." And he said, "I've been listening to the podcast. Yes, it's inspiring. Yes, it's a lot of fun to listen to." He says, "But you spoke about me and said that every girl I meet, I tell her that you're my dad and that he's a magician." And he goes, "I don't tell them unless they ask." And I said, I'll say, "So you're correcting me right now?" And he says, "Yes, because it was wrong information."
Oh my.
So I'm doing this on behalf of my son and telling him that I take back what I said regarding that he tells everybody that his dad's a magician. I took that as granted, but I will let everybody know he does not need his father to go and date those girls that he's out there with. If it comes up in conversation, I guess he'll let them know that I am a magician, but he just wanted to remind me, "Dad, that went a little bit too far."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, I'm so terribly sorry." I said, "But you're still good with the podcast?" He says, "Oh, yeah, it's awesome."
Okay, Brandon, Rick stands corrected. Okay.
Corrected. Go have at it. Go date. Go find somebody and enjoy your life. And if it's brought up in conversation, yes, you can tell that I'm a magician, but I understand where he's coming from. It's so funny. It can be the littlest thing.
Yeah.
And it just irks them. It sends them in the wrong direction. And even last night when he was telling me and I was laughing on the phone, I also agreed with him and told him, "Look, I'm sorry. It's really tough for everybody to get everything that is said correct."
Yes.
And basically, it's because we all see life differently. And I know often when we're in public, the one thing that I've always had a challenge with was anybody correcting me in public in front of others that I've said a story wrong. I might have seen it the wrong way. I might have seen it the right way, and you saw it the wrong way. But I'm doing my very best to not tell stories that are so out of line that it's ridiculous. I am not a politician. I repeat, I am not a politician.
You're not running for
those
a thing.
people go bonkers on telling stories. And I am just overwhelmed at what they all get away with when they say that what they're telling you is the truth.
Spinning. Spinning. I actually lost a friend. She was a high school friend. I mean, like best friend. And we lost contact for a lot of years, and we reunited on social media and, kind of catching up on our lives. And I made a comment about her son and daughter, and she got furious because she had told me she had two sons. I'd made a mistake, but she went, "Oh my God, you would have thought I'd said something terrible." And we're not talking anymore. She got so mad that I made that mistake. And I'm like, okay, all right. Nothing happened. The world's still turning. I'm sorry. I messed up. Oh my God. She really went off the deep. And it was like, this is a shame.
We all have those stories. And all I can say to others is I can be read wrong constantly. Most people read me as being extremely stuck on myself. I love what I do. I've put my whole life into my art. I'm passionate about what I do. I hold myself to a high level. I get frustrated when I'm not meeting my own personal goals. And I'm quite standoffish sometimes. I'm quiet. I don't have many things to talk about. I don't talk about the weather to people very much. I don't sit there and just chat about nothing. I'll sit there and listen to conversations, but my mind is nonstop. How can I sell the show? Where am I going to perform next? And I wish I could take a breather. and I'll even have my wonderful wife, Tara, say, now, Rick, we're going out here. Leave everything in your head behind. Show some congeniality. So she points me in the right direction, and I do my best, and I still falter constantly. So it's an apology. This podcast has actually allowed me to chat in a much more informal way and who I think I am in my head and I should be. So thank you again for allowing me to chat and make the podcast and at least be sensible for at least a few minutes a day.
Well, you're just always going. And I think most successful people, particularly most entertainers, we are going. And it is hard to separate it and slow it all down because our world is very going. It's like you take a day off and don't think about your show or don't think about your performance and things get ahead of you.
I can go about a day and a half.
Yeah?
I can go maybe 2 days and I back off and then all of a sudden my mind just starts churning again.
Uh-huh. I'm proud of you.
2 days.
2 days. Hey.
Yeah. And then I don't ever want to look at my emails again. There's so many that come in. It's just ridiculous.
That's it. I know. That's the problem with shutting down. And it's like when people go on vacation from work and they come back and there's like 2 tons of stuff sitting on their desk. I've heard people say it's not worth going on vacation because you work harder the week next.
Oh, that's true.
It is. Well, we are looking at chapter 16. This is a very interesting chapter. And if you haven't gotten the book's available on Amazon. It's called The Tiger Whisker. And every time I say that during a podcast, I do say, well, when are we getting to that story? We're getting there. Okay? We got to lay all the groundwork to get there, though. This one, every family has a scar. We hearken back to The Lion King for this one, right?
Yes, we do.
I love that
and
movie.
We speak specifically about the brother of Mufasa, who was nicknamed or is nicknamed Scar.
Uh-huh.
And basically dealing with the tigers and all of their different personalities, it always reminded me of all the different personalities we face in families. We talk about blood is thicker than water. But my goodness, it's the family that we have the most problems with and the biggest fights and the challenges. So it is a difficult subject because everybody does have a scar in their family.
Oh, yes.
And usually they all think it's not them.
Right. It's got to be my brother or my sister.
I'm not the scar.
No.
So let me give you just a background again briefly on it. It's very simple. His actual name was Taka.
And I didn't know that till I read the book.
Yeah.
I thought his name was Scar. But Taka's a terrible name.
It is Swahili for dirt or trash.
Why would his mom name him that? That's terrible. He was a little tiny baby cub. How do you know?
I don't know. Don't ask me. You know what I appreciate? I appreciate the depth that these storytellers go to. To create entertainment. This Lion King is one of the greatest epic creations that Disney put out regarding this story. You know why? Because it hit everybody between the eyes and everybody relates to it because everybody has a family like that.
You know what? The first time I ever saw it was at a preview at Disneyland. I got lucky enough to go to this. And the whole movie wasn't even done. This was just segments. And they did this for media. And I cried. The scene where they're up on the cliff and they present the baby. They present the Lion King to all the animals that have gathered below. Oh my God, Rick, I'm sitting in the theater there on Main Street at Disneyland. I am crying my eyes out. I'm not like that, especially with animated movies. But that hit me. Yeah, that movie has so many moments that you forget it's animated. You forget it's even, not humans. It grabs you. That truly is one of my top 5 Disney movies. I don't think I've ever cried at an animated movie before, but boy, did I ever. Whew.
Understood. I just want to make sure everybody accepts and realizes that every family has a scar.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody has challenges and that nobody is perfect. Now, see, I told you already about my son, Brandon, and how last night he got into my face about saying things that were wrong or not quite right in his mind. So I'm now going to talk about my dear mother. And she will call me and she will say, son, why are you telling the world these things from our family? And I said, because I want everybody to know that we're all the same, that there's nothing to be challenged or ashamed of. But I do know that we had a lot of aunts and uncles and cousins in our family who, in our family's eyes, were challenges to the family organization. They were scarred. I don't know how to easily say it, but basically, pain in the butt.
Wait, you're not a politician, right? Because that was so politically correct.
That was so politically correct.
Yes. It's
However, With that said, and the challenges that we as a family watched as our extended family imploded, my mother wanted the world to believe that our family was perfect.
Oh.
And there were many times where the challenges that we faced as a family, I seem to feel were hidden from the world. And I know people don't want to air their dirty laundry. That's not my intent. But when we want to make it look as though there's nothing wrong, when you just want to admit, hey, look, we're human, we can get through this, that may be a better route to go. But I do know for such a long time that we as a family didn't see ourselves as near the problem as our cousins or aunts and uncles were. When we realized, and that's why I pointed out, everybody has a scar, but maybe you are one as well.
Oh,
so look in the mirror and realize, and I just think that that's what I remember. I remember not that she tried to put us up on a pedestal, with the other family, but there would be times where it was pointed out, well, look what this family's doing, look what that family's doing. And then in the end, and I said, yes, but look what our family's doing. So I shout out to my mother and tell her I love her with all of my heart. And she wanted to keep her children well sheltered and that they should be proud of their family. And we all should be. There are some wonderful things we should all hold on to, especially this one. This particular podcast is specifically coming out during the Thanksgiving holiday weekend. And I would say more than anything, be grateful for your blessings, be grateful for your family and those that you can turn to. Maybe it's not your direct family. How often have people literally turned to their aunts and their uncles and they have saved them? They have saved their life because their family was so disorganized that they were able to turn to someone else, whether it be a aunt, uncle, cousin, grandparent, whatever it is. There's got to be somebody within your family tree that you can turn to and they'll be there for you.
Well, you've got a great big family. So let everybody know that. How many kids are there?
In my family, there were 6.
Yeah,
yes.
right. So you have an enormous
I was the oldest of
family.
6.
Wow.
Oldest of 6.
Wow.
And teased every one of them. And they're all mad at their older brother for constantly teasing them as we grew up. But and again, I wasn't perfect. Someone can tell me I don't know what it is to be an older sibling, especially one that, they find out that they don't have their act together as well. You want to, as that firstborn, try as best you can to guide and direct your siblings. But sometimes it's the lastborn. We all found that our youngest brother, Red, he received the most opportunities we felt. He had his own room because everybody had left the house. That's right. He was constantly listened to by his parents constantly because he was their last child and the last of letting them walk away. And that they just didn't want that to happen. And I can tell you the relationship between my brother Rhett and his father before my father passed, I think was stunning. As far as examples go, I know by discussing this with my mother, and I never knew, but Rhett would call my father every single day.
Oh, my goodness.
Every day he and my father would talk.
That is wonderful.
Wow.
Gee.
Wow. And I said, Mom, is that true? She goes, yes. Rhett would be on the phone with your father daily to talk with your dad, whether it be for guidance, direction, or just talking to each other. And I commend my brother for doing so, something I faltered on. And though I appreciate my love and relationship I had with him, that was something that I look upon my brother and give him kudos for and congratulate him for his love and passion he had for his parents.
I've met Rhett. He's the only one of your siblings I've met. I like him. He's a very talented guy and a very, very nice guy.
He is extremely nice. He has shows that he presents up in Indiana at his theater. He is a perfectionist. He beats himself up like I do. I see me and him, and I'm like, brother, chill. Back off. You're going to beat yourself up. You're going to beat yourself silly.
Dear.
So I commend him. I congratulate him on his devotion and love for his parents. And that is a good attribute that I have taken note of and learned from. So that is appreciated, and I'm grateful.
I envy you. I really do, having brothers and sisters. And you may, I don't know, a lot of my friends who have a lot of brothers and sisters say, God, I wish I was the only child. But I grew up as an only child because my brothers and sisters are 12 and 13 years older than me. So they were gone before they were there practically in my world. So I have always envied people who had a lot of brothers and sisters, and particularly now when you're older because they're all there for you, or hopefully they're all there. Yeah.
Let me tell you, years ago when I was on tour in China, I was actually there when they implemented the one child families.
Yeah.
Or at least they were pushing it extremely hard, and they were very harsh on their people.
Yes.
If they had a second child. And of course, so many of them wanted a male child because they received prominence in society rather than female. And if a family was born with a female child, sometimes there were terrible, horrific scenarios that took place. And so when they had a second child, it was the same thing. The second child was actually not quite as respected or looked to as the first. Now, they allowed in the farm areas to allow people to have as many children as they wanted because they became farming families and those children worked on the farms. This I know. I was out there in China. So when this was all in the news, it took me, and I'm literally telling you this is not in the chapter. This is just a story from my mind. It took me moments to realize the complications that the country was creating when they demanded that everybody have one child. And in my head, what I realized was the conversation you and I just had. Within one generation, if everybody had one child, within one generation, no one would be related to anybody. You would lose all aunts, uncles, and once all those who were any related to you passed away, you would have an entire country of people who were related to nobody.
Yeah, no connections.
Now, what is the problem? First and foremost, you've created a country with a whole bunch of, could you say, princes and princesses and or kings and queens, because they're the only child. And when they're the only child, the parents absolutely, for the most part, spoil the child. So you're going to grow up with a whole bunch of spoiled brats.
Not me.
And they're not going to have any, and they're, okay, maybe not you. And I don't say spoiled brats. Don't take it as though that's the case. I'm just saying that when it's one child, parents will spoil that one because it doesn't have to be divvied up with many. For many people, that one child is coddled and loved. I know that everybody has their own story and everybody's life was, well, Rick, that's not happened to me. I was the only child and I didn't never see my parents. Okay. I'm just saying that in China, if everybody had that one child, their directive would be to take care of that one. And you need to wrap your head around it. How would it feel if you had nobody to turn to?
Terrible.
And that's what they created. I think that they realized as time went on, that's what they had done. And I go, who didn't think this through? The moment it happened, I thought, what? What?
Yeah.
Gosh, when everybody dies, nobody's going to be related to anybody other than their spouse. And that is not a community.
No.
That I have always said, if you have a strong family, you have a strong community. If you have a strong community, you have a strong city. If you have a strong city, you have strong states. If you have strong states, you have strong country. And it starts with the family unit, and it must be strong. When the family unit starts to fall apart, thus they choosing to have just one child, or those in the U.S. who are not doing what they can to raise their family in a strong scenario, we begin to fall. It starts at home. And I plead with you, it's been said before, I'm not the first person to say this, I'm just regurgitating. Whether you have scars or not, bury the hatchets and embrace your family. Find those in your family you can live with. Don't let them go.
I've got to find, because my brother is gone. My sister, well, I know she doesn't listen to the podcast because she doesn't listen to anything I do. She is the scar. She is the scar.
Oh, okay.
I'll point her right out. She's the scar. She knows it. But I've misplaced some cousins that I grew up with periodically throughout my life. I would love to find them because they were cool and it would be neat to find them. I need to make an effort to do that. That would be interesting. Yeah, my family, as much of a unit as your family was growing up, mine, it's an exploded mess.
See, it blew. I know. I'm telling you. You know what? But our family had the same problems. We have our issues. Okay, I can tell you when it's Thanksgiving, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's the Thanksgiving story.
Okay.
See, if I repeated this, I'm sorry, but I'm saying it again because it was Thanksgiving. One time I left the house, my home in Las Vegas, all the family, everybody in the family was there for a family gathering for Thanksgiving.
Oh, wow.
I left to the store to pick up what else? Maybe cranberries or whatever.
The thing you forgot. The thing.
Right. Now our family's noisy. They're noisy. They're fun. They play around. I open the front door and there's silence, literal silence.
Oh.
And I'm like, I walk in and everybody looks at me and their eyes are literally telling me, don't say anything. Don't do anything. Don't say anything. I'm like, what's going on? And I won't say which brothers or what, but my brothers had it out with one brother saying something about another brother's child.
Dear.
And there was a bit of there was a massive family uproar.
Oh, dear.
And one part of the family is on one side of the room and one part of the family is on the other side of the room. No one's talking to anybody.
Oh.
I'm the only person who can talk to anybody because I wasn't involved in the scenario. And that was a really rough day for our family. Oh. But it was amazing to watch the implosion and literally no communication the rest of the day. It was,
awful.
It was wild. And I'm not alone. Thanksgiving is a good time of thanks. It doesn't always turn out.
It can be a dangerous day.
It can be extremely dangerous.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
I want people to know that I am fully aware that life is all about you.
Yeah.
It is all about you. Life is important. It centers around you. You've got to protect yourself. Mm-hmm. You've got to make sure that you do everything you can to succeed in this thing we call life. And it's about you. And I point that out by simply looking at a photo. When a photo is taken and there's a bunch of people in the photo and you look at the photo, the first person you look at is you always do, you always will.
Yes.
That I have brought up as well because I think it's fascinating. If you look okay in the photo is perfect.
It's good, yes.
You don't care. It's fine. If somebody else doesn't look so good in the photo, it does not matter to you.
No.
But they will ask to have the photo taken again and you will say what? No, it's fine.
It's beautiful.
But everybody is important. Everybody has a life, and everybody needs to look good in the photo.
Yes, it's true.
So when you realize that, and I do as well, that you got to back off on your own wishes, wants, and desires, and realize that everybody else in this world is striving for the same thing. They're striving for happiness in their life, and they aren't finding it by someone who hangs around me, who, when it's all about me, they don't get anything out of it. There are times when I've literally said, okay, Rick, this week you say nothing about you, nothing at all. You go out there and only compliment other people. If they try to talk about you, you change the subject and you talk about them. Do not talk about you. Even if you want to say it in jest, don't talk about me. Let's talk about you. What did you do this week? What did you try to do? What are your goals this week? Really? Who's coming to see you? How are you feeling? Do you have the holiday blues? Can I help you? Can I do something for you? And make it about other people.
Wait, can you do that for a whole week? Have you succeeded?
Nope.
How many days have you gone?
I can do it for about a day. I'm pretty good for a day.
Okay.
And then I get extremely depressed. No, I don't want to play around on this. Feelings are extremely touchy. And I know those feelings and I fall short on commenting and praising others when honestly it should be about them and not about me.
Well, it can be a nice mix. You got to find the mix.
No man's an island. We all need everybody to succeed.
Yeah.
We can't do this alone, and I can't do this without my amazing Tara on stage performing, even my cast and crew. I can tell you this. We have a Christmas show playing right now, and we have, I don't know if you remember them, the Cowsills.
Oh, of course.
They were the first family of rock and roll. They had 3 number-1 hits, multi-million albums.
Oh, yeah.
And they are playing in our Christmas show, as well as the Letterman and our dancers and our crew and those on the lights and the sound. And I can tell you that though Tara and I laid out the run of the show, and Tara choreographed and blocked and directed the show, and I did a bit of video for the show, that there would be no Christmas show without these amazing people and the talent they brought to the table. It's huge. Yeah, and we know that. We know that sometimes it appears that we get the kudos more than others because of the positioning that we may have accepted in dealing with the show. And believe me, it's not all roses. I mean, Tara's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we accepted to do this. It's so hard. And it was. And I applaud her massively for her success at pulling this show off. But there are those that probably feel that they have also not received the accolades for all that they've done to bring to the table. And it's hard. It's hard to make sure that everybody feels that they have been given all the kudos that they need for who they are and what they've accomplished. But I can just tell you with our particular show, it is amazing. We are thrilled with what has been brought to the table, and we are ecstatic for everybody in that room who hopefully realizes what they've done and what they've accomplished in their life, and may they remember it and look back on it, and I predict will be one of the highlights of their life.
The people who work in the behind the scenes in entertainment, they are so important. You see the performers on stage, and yeah, anybody who's on stage, on camera, on mic, whatever, gets the accolades. But I know for a fact in what I do with radio, if I don't have great crew behind me, I'm not going to sound good, no matter what I do. No matter what I do, if I don't have great producers and great tech people, I'm going to sound terrible. That's just the truth of it. And so I've always appreciated what they do. Maybe not at the beginning. Maybe I was, when I started out, a little too full of myself and it's all about me and I'm the reason it sounds great. But as I got a little older, a little smarter, I realized, and after working with some behind the scenes people who weren't great and trying to work over what they weren't doing, I really now compliment the behind the scenes people that I work with, because I know that they're the ones making me sound good on the air. Yeah, okay, my own talent helps, but they can also bring me down very quickly.
Well, I'm going to scream out now. We have a lot of people in the show, and I can't just ramble them all off.
Right,
Please accept my apology, but let me throw out a few kudos. We've got lights and sound. We've got Frank Schultz, and we have Drew Matney on lights and sound, and they run the show out front. And then we have Griffin Dvorak backstage. He runs the backstage crew, and these people really hold the glue together on making the show work. There's so many others. I mean, trust me, our crew, they all deserve applause, but there's just some people that have really held their own and done an exceptional job. Kudos to everyone.
Glad you let them know that, because they need to know that. Well, I hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. You're working on Thanksgiving Day, aren't you? Or are you?
I am. But you know what? That's part of what people may also not understand is, as entertainers, it is often expected of us to entertain those that are enjoying their Thanksgiving. How many people run to the movie theater and go see a movie on Thanksgiving? I know we did. We did. We'd always finish up Thanksgiving dinner and then we'd head straight to the movie theater. And that's the same with live theater. We've got well over 100 shows in Branson, and all of the shows are open, and all of the shows will have audiences sitting. I'll scratch my head every Thanksgiving. I'm like, what are you people thinking? But you know what? I am very proud to be one of those people that can give of my talents to make that a memorable experience for the entire family. So bring it on. We expect a full house. Thanksgiving, please be there. Moon River Christmas with the Cowsills, the Letterman, and also Nadia Cole, an absolutely stunning singer out of Nashville. And of course, our dancers, and myself and Tara, and a cast and crew of thousands. Come see the show. It is rocking Branson.
And I will be on the air doing the news on Thanksgiving, because news never stops.
It never stops.
So I am working the glorious shift of 2 a.m. till 10 a.m. Whew, yeah.
My suggestion this time around, you may not be rewarded, you'll be applauded.
Oh, well, if I
could
stay
you just
awake.
put a little bit more money in my bank account? Right.
If I could stay awake. I have always worked holidays. I don't mind working holidays. They're kind of fun. They're a little bit more challenging in news because the holidays are usually quieter. Being that I'm not big on family, I don't really have a huge family or really much of one at all. I've always volunteered to work the holidays so people who do have these big family gatherings can go do them. You know, when I was single, it was that or sit home on Thanksgiving wishing I had somewhere to go. So I figured I'll go to work. Why not? And then somebody else can go be at home. And usually the radio stations cater. So, you know, you get your Thanksgiving dinner anyway. So
sometimes it works out. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes it works out even a little better. Sometimes when we perform during the holidays, the next day or the day after, we actually have days off. And when everybody goes back to work, we have an opportunity to go out and shop and enjoy life with very few people
without the chaos
that we have to deal with on the streets.
Indeed.
So is it positive? You know what? Sometimes my greatest time in Branson is when we close the Christmas shows everybody goes home. No, I say it that way because I get to drive around. Branson is insane. When you drive here, oh my goodness. When you hit the strip during the busy season, that is a strip you can drive in like 5 minutes. But if it's packed, expect to be an hour on that road just to get through it. It is amazing the amount of people that jam into that town and come to Branson to be entertained. So when it's all said and done and the streets are quiet again and I drive around town and get to where I need to go efficiently, sometimes that's my greatest joy.
I've not been there, so I didn't even think that it would be that crazy, but that's actually wonderful.
Crazy. This is entertaining as well. We have blue, red, and yellow streets set up in Branson because when the main strip is full, if you know these side routes and they're blue, red, and yellow, if you know them, you can miss the main strip. You can skirt the strip and go around on one of these other side roads and follow those routes to get where you need to go. And they're literally marked blue, red, and yellow routes. And we all know those to be salvation to all of us who need to get to our show but can't get to the theater.
Why are they blue, red, and yellow, though, Rick? That's weird.
The roads aren't that. It's just the signs on the road will say red. It'll just say red.
Oh,
know that that's an area where you can turn to and drive and go around the back of the strip. And now I'm telling everybody the secret. So everybody who comes in, and they're all going to be on the side roads. And they're all going to be packed. And I'm going to drive down the center road and nobody's going to be there.
I see the logic. I wish we had those in L.A. Boy, because traffic here, forget about it. You're going to get a taste of that in February when you come back to L.A.
I know.
Just wait.
Every time I drive in from the valley, I'm like, okay, slow down. Here we go.
Yeah. Going 10 miles can take you an hour here. So
yeah, see, I know you want to talk about gold because I'm excited. It's coming into the holiday season. I was telling my wife, Tara, how much gold we have. I can tell all those who have experienced this last couple weeks with the crypto market collapsing. I personally don't want to talk about it because I also lost a ton of money in the markets. And there are people screaming and yelling, hey, why are you even in it? It's monopoly money, et cetera, et cetera. However you want to look at it, I have diversified my portfolio. I have money in the bank. I have money in the savings account. I did have money in crypto.
I did too.
And I have precious metals. And the only thing that I own and have that did not lose its worth was my gold and silver. And I repeat it over and over again. You've got to listen to me. You've got to let me share with you what I've done and what I've done to protect my family. And it's so hard. People go, Rick, it's so hard for me to get into it. They can't part with the paper dollar. They can't part with the zeros and ones in their bank account. It's hard because it's not the commodity that we used to trade with. I mean, we have credit cards now, but gold and silver, the real thing. You don't hold it, you don't own it, comes to mind again and again. It is the one thing that gives you your insurance on all the other monies that you have. And once you start collecting those wonderful metals, and I suggest right now silver is really a wonderful way to go. It's going to skyrocket and it's affordable, much more so than gold. At least it'll appear that you get a lot more for your money when you buy silver than gold. But once you do, even if you're to take and buy one coin a month or 1 5-ounce piece of silver or whatever it is, bullion, whatever you want to buy, and you do it monthly and you look back on it at the end of the year, you're going to go, wow, I can't believe that I've done this. And it's because you're persistent, because you continue to do so. And I'm telling you, I have everybody in my life come up to me and go, how's that gold and silver going? And I go, I told you 2 years ago to do this. I told you a year ago to be part of this. And my answer back is you don't want to know. And it's simply because I stuck to continually investing and moving and diversifying a little bit of what I have from one banking system to another. And I'm just grateful that I have a bit of everything.
They just don't think about owning gold and silver. It's just not something you think about owning other than with jewelry. So that's really most people's acquaintance with gold or silver. They don't think about owning the metal itself. I think that's where this is a little bit confusing to people because it's just not something that they think is a thing.
but they're willing to buy gold and silver jewelry.
Sure.
They see worth in it. They
Yes.
buy their gold jewelry. They buy their gold rings and their diamonds and whatever it may be. But if there was troubling times, I mean, really, really goes bad, and people are trying to sell what they have, the one thing that they could sell is gold and silver, much more easy than their paper fiat currency. But when it is sold, more so, it will be sold for its weight,
Right.
not its perceived visual value.
Right.
So if you have a beautiful gold necklace and you bought it for $1,000, but it really has $500 worth of gold in it, when you go to sell that in times when maybe someone's not buying it for the visual beauty,
Right.
you're going to get what its weight is worth. So people are buying a lot of what we call bullion, and that's coins and 5-ounce, 10-ounce, 20-ounce kilo bars of just gold and silver, just collecting the bullion. Because in the end, they're going to weigh it.
Right.
They're not going to look at it and say, oh, my goodness, this piece of jewelry is so much more beautiful than blah, blah, blah. They're going to say, well, you have 4 ounces of gold. That's what you get. Please
Yes.
go out there today during the holidays and buy just something, a silver coin, give one away to your family members. I mean, that's a lot of fun, too.
It's an interesting gift. Well, Rick, you can tell people all about it. You can get a hold of Rick at mansionofdreams.net/wealth. There is a form there. You just fill it out, take you 2 seconds, and you're still making phone calls, right?
Yes, I am.
He'll call you up and tell you about it.
I'm busy with phone calls, and if I don't call out to you, please understand that I am busy with phone calls. I have a show, and then on top of that, there are people out there that I love to chat with personally and share with them what I know. Hey, I want to close out the podcast by actually reading a couple sentences from the chapter about Every Family Has a Scar. I said once again, the show would not exist without all of the amazing people in that show. There's always going to be people around you. You can't hide from the world, whether it be a family or a team. No one person can live their life without affecting or being part of somebody else's life. You just can't. So try your best to appreciate the people around you. Remember that every family has a scar, and some days that scar is you. Embrace your challenges and the challenges that others face. Be a little kinder to everyone because you have no idea what they're going through.
That's perfect. That's something to remember going into the holidays and all the
Good
get-togethers.
luck. I wish all of you the very best wishes during Thanksgiving, and may it be a joyous occasion.
Indeed.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.